Hello. We are diving right on in. We are talking about international superstar Kanye West,
Jesus, not even
business
close.
mogul,
But one thing's for
fashion
certain, his
designer,
bank account is
shoe
as big as his ego.
designer,
Yeezy has a net worth of
business
about
deal
$6.6
closer.
billion.
Kanye does so
His
many
music
things.
has earned him
Producer,
millions,
writer,
but he reached billionaire status thanks to
stylist.
his
He does
fashion
a
line
lot.
and lucrative
And
contract with
there were
Adidas.
rumors
Whenever
that
Adidas
Kanye
sells a pair of
West
$1,000 Yeezy
was
sneakers,
going to
Kanye
be
gets
the
a cut.
next victim
Kanye
of the
uses his cash to buy
conservatorship.
everything from mansions
And
to
these rumors were started swirling in 2016. And I received information about this because some members of the jury sent me videos from BJ BJ Investigates and the surprise witness, and they did exposés on this matter. And the surprise witness has actually been following like Luke Taylor and all of her business entanglements for a few years now with her work with the Free Britney movement. So just diving right in, Kanye West, as we know, billionaire now. You know, he wasn't always from Chicago, and he has really worked hard to preserve his right to express himself as an artist. Because even though he is a billionaire, he has been very vocal about not feeling like he can express himself freely because of threats of him being called crazy. And that's where the conservatorship comes in. So, guys, it's so much tea. I want to spill it, but I'm just trying to take my time and get through it. Okay, so just bear with me. So, before I even get into this video, I don't want to use this word a billion times and not define it. So, let's lay it out. So, a conservatorship is two types. It's the conservatorship over a person, and that person makes decisions about the conservatee's housing, clothing, medical care, and that's generally relegated for minors. And then there's the conservatorship of the estate, and that's relegated for financial decisions. And that's generally with adults that may have some type of mental incapacity and they can't care for themselves. So those are the two types of conservatorships where someone can control where you live, your housing, and your day-to-day living over your personhood and over your estate, over your money. And in this case, we're just kind of looking at what we think was lurking in the corners if it wasn't for the Free Britney movement. So Kanye West, we know him to be a creative genius. He's never shy about speaking and thinking outside of the box. So we expect that from him. And as we know, Kanye is in a relationship, or excuse me, was in a relationship, then later married, now divorced from Kimberly Kardashian. And their marriage was tumultuous at best. And that's the best way to describe it. Beautiful couple, known for being super fly, known for really, making big deals, traveling the world. But also, Kim had initially responded to Kanye's expression of himself with positive reprieve. She was very supportive and was just saying, that's who he is. That's the type of genius he is. Let him be who he is without vilifying him and calling him crazy. But over the years, cracks in their marriage, the fairy tale marriage, started to show. And people wonder what happens when you rich, you have everything, you're a billionaire, but behind closed doors, things were not perfect. And we think seeing the billionaires, seeing the big business deals, the things that we dream of, that their lives are perfect, but they have the same shit just like us. The same problems, excuse me, not exactly the same, but emotionally, as far as relationships, heartbreaking things like that. Financially, no, we're not the same. Lifestyle, no, we're not the same. So I want to be clear on that. But within this matrix, you have Kanye who has lost it all and then got it back again. And during this time, his marriage was falling apart, and many people didn't know what was happening, or we didn't know to the extent like him and Kanye was on the brink of a divorce. This was back in 2016. And then Kanye had his episode where he basically poured out his heart. He poured out his heart and he basically said that he was not happy with his relationship with Jay-Z, and how he was feeling betrayed. And he did this at a concert. It was the St. Pablo tour. So during the tour, mid concert, he lets it out. Now, we all know music can be cathartic. For us as the listener, it's an emotional experience. So I can only imagine what it's like to be the creator of the art. So he's having his emotional moment and he really just, lets it out how he's feeling about his relationship with Jay-Z, and kind of we're starting to see the cracks. So let's tap into this moment because I think this is pivotal, um, when Kanye started to be stigmatized as crazy, because of his bipolar diagnosis.
Because I wanted to present a video called Fame, and out of respect, MTV told me, Mr. West, out of respect to you, I will let you know that Beyonce is winning the video tonight for Formation over Hotline Bling and Famous. And the Moon Man.
So in this rant, he says a host of things. And after that, the media, begins to one categorize the rant as bizarre because the quickest way to dismiss someone is to call them crazy. And of course, because he named some high rollers in the business, he named some power players, and he made some, salacious comments, but he was expressing himself and his experiences of those people. But within 3 days, Kanye West was 5150. He was in a psychiatric hold at the UCLA Medical Center at the Resnick Psychiatric Center. Now, that's the same place where Britney Spears was initially evaluated for her conservatorship, which later has been uncovered to be unconstitutional and illegal, the one that she was in the structure. And this particular facility is known for electroshock. And I got this from the surprise witness. I didn't even know electroshock was even legal in America. So I feel, naive to the medical procedures that people can undergo. And I think that is problematic because it's electroshock within the confines of a psychiatric ward. So that means people are not voluntarily undergoing these medical procedures that some would even say are questionable. And I feel like even they know it's questionable because when you Google them, the first sentence they have to tell you is it's safe. Generally, when you Google a medical facility, they tell you what they do in the first sentence, not, hey, it's safe. So that's a red flag. So Kanye is putting in a 5150 in this electroshock. He's having his MK moment. And he comes back. He basically, I guess, get back in formation until the pandemic hits. And when the pandemic hits, that's when he started to tweet again. But at this point, he's in Wyoming. So he's not in LA. So he's tweeting about the movie Get Out, saying that was a reference about him. So I was like, spill the tea, bro. Spill the tea. Spill the tea. And then he talks about he went on a support of Trump, campaign, which, that's not anything I align myself with. But he's free to express his ideas, even if we don't like them. So he was vilified for that. And I think when you're working with the Kardashian machine, when you have unpopular opinions, what they'll do is start to put you in a crazy category, kind of how Lou Taylor did Britney Spears and had her in the unconstitutional and illegal conservatorship. So they started to take his outbursts and his expression of himself, I think, the Kardashian machine, and manipulate it. Because this has always been the Kanye West that we've known to take the unbeaten path. So then the explosion gets even bigger because what people speculated in 2016, the teacup starts spilling because Kanye West lets it out. And Kanye, and people probably were so caught in the actual tweet that people didn't remember back in 2016 when he was involuntarily held under a 5150 in a psychiatric ward for having an outburst, for being emotional. Don't hang out with the Kardashians and cry about something. Mm. So he talks about being locked up like Mandela. So again, something about restraint. But what's specific is Kim tried to bring a doctor to lock me up. So at this point, that's clear conservatorship language. Kanye West is in Wyoming and he's tweeting, so he's not near the Kardashian machine. So he has the freedom of his phone for now, the freedom of the platform for now before they can get their hands on him. So at this point, Kim was back in Hollywood and she was holly shook because Kanye was spilling tea. And I guess my thing is, why be nervous or worried if someone's having an outburst and it's ramblings that are totally false? It's because Kanye West was spilling hot tea. And sorry, guys, I just wanted to zoom in a little bit more because the other ones were small. But also, you see the energy toward Chris because Chris is the mastermind of the empire. Chris is the one who Chris got the juice. Chris is the one who has the juice. Anyone who says she doesn't, they deceiving themselves. So he has aimed his energy at Chris also, which lets you know it's kind of like a get up off me. So Kanye West is in Wyoming. He's at his, I think this $15 million ranch is beautiful. And he is really sounding off on the Kardashians and they are trying to figure out how to silence him. So Kim sashays down to Wyoming and tries to reconcile with him. But later we learned that it was actually doctors there too. So it was twofold. So the media, the media made it seem like Kim was trying to reconcile. But in reality, Kim had come to Wyoming with the doctors trying to commit Kanye. So Kanye, of course, had a negative response to this, as anyone would. And then this is where Lou Taylor comes in, y'all. And this is where my antenna went up. BJ and the surprise witness really, really honed in on this. Kris Jenner and Lou Taylor are friends. They homies. And Lou Taylor, who is she? Because she sounds like just a stranger in this narrative. Lou Taylor is the woman who is responsible for putting Britney Spears in the conservatorship, and there are allegations that she misappropriated $600+ million from Britney Spears during the conservatorship. So Britney was on tour performing and earning millions and millions of dollars, but she was only being paid $1,500 per week. She was being paid the least out of everyone in the conservatorship, the lawyers, the doctors, the judges, everyone. Absolutely deplorable. So that's Lou Taylor. So that's why I say, OMG, that's a problem because here comes Lou Taylor. And Lou Taylor is connected with the Kardashians and how not just Kris Jenner's homegirl, but Kris Jenner likes how Lou Taylor does business. Hands up in the cookie jar. So she has Lou Taylor in charge of several business endeavors for the Kardashian clan, as they call themselves. Not anything I would call them. And of course, receipts. So Lou Taylor is listed as the registered agent. That's the person who receives a lawsuit or official documents for Kylie's organization and also KKW for Kim's fragrance line. So Kris is friends with someone who we know has the capacity and the moral compass to proceed with a conservatorship that many would have to just basically protest against. Basically, an entire movement had to be started because Lou Taylor was so, drunk off power, enjoying access to $600 million. So that's the person who Kris hangs out and does her books and her business for some of her business endeavors with her girls. So people were concerned about Chris and Lou being homies, some people say BFFs, and what the implications would be for for Kanye. Would they try to finesse him into a 5150 and then later a conservatorship? And my guess was yeah, because at one point they were antagonizing Kanye, and when we pull back now and look at it, they're antagonizing him. He responds, and then he's the villain. But meanwhile, he is being roasted. I mean, the subliminals, the tattoos, the child sitting on his lap. But the conservatorship is a way for Kim, if she could have Kanye snap, to maintain her very expensive and luxurious lifestyle. And this is just my theory. So she's like, make him snap, so we can put him under a conservatorship of the personhood and the estate, so we can control everything. But I'm sure the emphasis in my this is only my opinion, I think, was on the money. And I just want to point out the hypocrisy. Like, yeah, Kanye said some crazy ass things when he was renting, but Kim was allowed to go on SNL, make jokes about her marriage, the subject of the divorce during the court proceeding. But then Kanye, when he put his poetic pieces on Instagram and on Twitter, Kim was saying that she was feeling threatened. She was saying she felt like it was a hostile environment. So I just feel like it's disingenuous. So you have Kim that's able to emote or express herself on a public medium, i.e., Saturday Night Live. But Kanye cannot express himself on a public medium, i.e., Instagram or Twitter, when he put out his poetic pieces of art for the poems, not the video. But even with the video, just to be fair, like, guys, we let Marilyn Manson put several videos out there that are absolutely crazy. It just seems like they are trying to police Kanye when he is not on the script or in the narrative that pleases the Kardashians or the Kardashian machine. And the adjacency to Lou Taylor is problematic because we saw how far she can go with Britney Spears. And also, I want to talk a little bit more about the media machine trying to make Kanye snap. The media everywhere was saying that Kim is newly single. The court has granted her to be single. One, it's not one-sided. If two people are divorced, the court grants both of them singlehood, or that's their new status. And as you can see on the actual bifurcation, and bifurcation just means to, like, just think bifurcate, just cut in the middle, just to bifurcate their marriage so that they're no longer married. So a motion for bifurcation means our marital status is clear. Now we still got to fuss and fight maybe over assets and children, but as far as me and you, we're not married anymore. So in this bifurcation order, you see the court restores the petitioner and the respondent to the status of unmarried persons. And that's both Kim and Kanye. However, the media only ran with the story that it was Kim who was newly single. And that just seems so disingenuous. And meanwhile, people are saying she has eyes on the conservatorship because now he has $1 billion fortune. Also, something very sketchy, and I would love for you guys to weigh in on this because I'm not sure what to make of this piece of information. And it could be totally harmless, but it just seemed odd. Lou Taylor, here she go again. Y'all, Lou Taylor has apparently purchased a home from Kanye West in the Hidden Hills back in 2008. So she's been on the books and around in the business endeavors since she was tying down Britney. So with the bifurcation, which is the divorce, both people were granted to be newly single. But the media, the Kardashian machine, ran off and said Kim is newly single. The court granted Kim status to be single. But as you guys can see on a petition, that the court granted both Kanye and Kim their single status, not just Kim. So every outlet that reported just Kim, just note that they probably have a bias. And sometimes the bias can be subtle, but that's big. So what does Kanye West do to deal with all that's happening right now, guys? How does he handle it? How does he proceed? Um, Baby, get quiet and get happy. Because I think Kanye West saw where Kim was trying to push him, and he didn't want to have himself entangled in that. Because let's be honest, as much as Kim tries to appropriate culture, she could switch it on and switch it off. The moment she says she's scared, she's a white woman afraid of a black man in America. So they started to label him as dangerous, a threat, and she started to say she was scared of him. Which I said, I don't know if I believe that, because now originally I did, but in hindsight, if you're afraid of him, why does she do so much to provoke him? That's what I don't understand. Like, if you're legitimately afraid of him, why does she let their child, sit on her boyfriend's lap? Like, if she's legitimately afraid of him, why does she allow her boyfriend to get the neck tattoo? These are not things you do if you're afraid of someone. So I didn't buy the afraid. It just seems like she wanted to spin that narrative. But what would be some of the benefits of getting Kanye West in a conservatorship? Excuse me. He's no longer in debt. So he now has an unlimited piggy bank, and they have a blueprint from Kris Jenner's homegirl, Lou Taylor, who knows how to get their hands on $600 million and convince the court that Britney Spears, who could perform on tour for several years, host a judge show, um, international syndication, deal with dancers and choreographers, doesn't have the capacity to handle her business. That's the type of people we deal with. And to reiterate that, let's hone in into Kanye. One of his pieces, the piece is entitled "Deleted." I don't know if I can even say the word on the platform, but I want to comply with the community guidelines. So the line that stood out to me was they ran through my account like the sign said "free bread." So I think that's the first time he low key, says what it is as far as with the Kardashians. He's seeing how they're trying to kind of trap him, and he sees the writing on the wall where it could go, the conservatorship land. And I think that's where he starts to tap out, because he sees that he's a piggy bank. And no man, I mean, regardless if they want to provide for you, Kim, nobody wants to feel like they're being used, baby. So with this, we got Kanye West lashing out. We got receipts of Lou Taylor lurking around. We got Kanye West tapping into a hospital known for electroshock. All of these things. But Kanye West had an ace up the sleeve. Kanye West had a muse, baby. Miss Cheney, the beautiful Cheney. I think she is a psychologist, or she's studying psychology, or her master's degree, but something with psychology, either studying it or she's practicing. Beautiful girl. And this is his muse. And he really was smitten by her and taken by Miss Cheney. And who wouldn't be? She's a pretty girl. And he redirected his energy. After Kim said he was scared, she was scared, Kanye totally pulled back. And pulling back, really got him back to his muse. And the thing is, this is where I think it was genius, because his silence was golden. So while he was happy and quiet, Kim was going through the ringer. Kanye let everything play out. It was the Black China trial happening, the Ray J stuff, and he is just quiet and happy with his muse. And he's in his space, elevating, zenning out, enjoying himself. But I think this is masterful. And even though it can seem simple, I think it's masterful, because if you don't say anything, they have nothing to use against you. And I think about this episode in The Wire where they were talking, and one of the guys was trying to figure out like what to do. He was stressed out about some plays on the block. And the OG was like, you can't lose if you don't play. And that was his way of just saying sometimes just do nothing. So Kanye took that approach, got his happy back, tapped into his muse, started going out and focusing his energy on who he's currently dating. And now the Kardashian machine has nothing in addition to, whatever they already will try to conjure up, but they have nothing more to try to add to what Kanye, is a threat to them or a danger to them. Because now he's in a happy zen space and he's directing his energy away from the family. And with that, Kanye West has returned, to a zenner state. We haven't seen any outbursts. He's been chilling. He's been happy in his more creative space. But also, y'all, let's dive into conservatorships a little bit more before I close out. So, guardianships are usually for minor children. Conservatorships are usually for adults. So that's like the distinction. So if they're under 18, it's probably a guardianship. So if they're a Disney child star that's not an adult yet, it would be a guardianship. But a conservatorship allows a court-appointed individual who can make decisions on someone else's behalf. So for Brittany, the judge would say, I will pick someone to basically decide how you spend your money and how I spend it too. And in Brittany's case, Lou Taylor, honey, let me spill the tea. She gave herself a little $500,000 pay as annual pay drive. I don't even know if it was a bonus or if it was salary broken up over the 12 months. But honey, as soon as she got access to the coins, she got a raise $500,000. So the issue with conservatorships is the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment in the United States Constitution, one portion of it says that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And I feel like we always talk about due process, but what the hell is it? Just what it says. You are due a process, okay? Change the due to D-O instead of D-U-E. You are owed, entitled. That is something that we all have as people who reside in the United States. That's one of the things that makes our democracy a democracy is the element of due process and the element of a jury trial. But with conservatorships, the moment a doctor says you're not competent, you can't challenge the due process or lack thereof. So conservatorships become this billion-dollar loopholes for courts to put the reins and wrinkles on maybe wealthy people or people they want to control. In the instance of Brittany, she spoke out and she expressed a few times that she didn't want the conservatorship, but basically they sent her for more evaluations. So the untold truth is conservatorships have no oversight. And it's risky because everyone can have their hand in the multi-million-dollar cookie jar with no outside oversight. And the person that they're supposed to be conserving shit for gets lost in the sauce and their voice isn't heard, or worse, like in the case of Brittany, her voice is ignored or things are done to her that are not in her best interest solely to keep her in a conservatorship. So we are fortunate that Kanye dodged the conservatorship, and I firmly agree with the surprise witness. If the Free Britney movement didn't take the momentum it did and didn't explode as big as it did, Chris was trying to gear up for $1 billion conservatorship. We know Chris's number one motive, based on her actions, how she's been moving in the matrix, is money. And this would be a perfect opportunity. $1 billion piggy bank. Everyone's scared of Kanye in that moment. But then the Free Britney movement happened. And then Lou Taylor, she resigned as Britney's manager after a decade once the heat in the kitchen got a little too hot for her. And the surprise witness was on Miss Lou Taylor. Lou Taylor even went to try to stifle the surprise witness, another YouTuber who was exposing the truth. But it ultimately came out. So Lou Taylor, being best friends with Kris Jenner, the alarm bells went off. So we sincerely think, one, Kanye outsmarted the conservatorship and the machine by simply going quiet, giving them nothing more. But also, it was a matter of perfect timing with the Britney Spears movement reaching its pinnacle. So, in the United States of America, my question to judges all over is with the conservatorships, there are people every day that have mental health issues, issues where they can't take care of themselves. Hell, living in LA has a huge homeless population that has mental health issues. And I don't see any court officials trying to get these individuals help or put them in a conservatorship. So is it just something that is a tool for the rich? And I must take a moment to say shame on every judge involved in Britney's case to say that a woman could earn and amass $600 million and orchestrate a 100 show tour or residency, and manage her dancers, her designers, her stylists, her makeup artists, but she can't make decisions for her life. Shame on you. The history books will not be kind. So again, I will point out that the judges in Blac Chyna's case was the same one on Britney Spears' case. And these are all people within Lou Taylor's wheelhouse. Lou Taylor being BFFs with Kris Jenner. So Kanye West narrowly, in my opinion, escaped the conservatorship because they were setting him up with everyone being afraid of him. And then the adjacency to Lou Taylor, knowing how to finesse the system, Kris was going to strike at any opportunity she could. But Kanye West, he learned that silence is golden. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want me to cover anything else or if you want me to do a deeper dive. Oh, it's my Lord. Have a good one, y'all.